All right, the Crew Motorfest. Now, let me just throw this out there right now. I don't think anybody's tested every single Street Tier 2 car, okay? This is, we've done a lot of tunes. I think we've done like 35, 40 tunes for Street Tier 2 alone. This is the top 10, okay, out of everything I've tested so far. There's still a ton of cars to buy. There's still a lot of cars to tune up. A lot of people have been asking for this video. I did top 10 top performing cars, you know, because I was like, well, these are good so far. It's been a few weeks since then. I've tuned a lot of cars. There's a lot of cars that have potential. There's a lot of cars that are close to these top 10, but these 10 shine the most, and with these tunes, they are insanely fast. So let's get into it. Number 10. So before I get into it, I'm not going to show any racing, any of that. I'm going to try to make this as quick, as painless as possible. I will link, I think, minus maybe like 2 or 3 of these cars I don't have pro settings videos for. So I will link all of the ones that have, they will all get their own standalone video, but I will link everything that's already been done. And if you want to go see them perform in a race, at the end, there's a grand race with these cars in them. But number 10, this was finally released to us after, what, 30 days of waiting, if you didn't get the pre-order bonus. This car is very good in the corners. The only issue with it is it lacks a little bit up top. All right, there might be a couple cars that might be a little faster that might have grabbed the 10 spot, but the way this car feels and handles, you can't beat it. All right, LBWK Supra. So let's get into the pro settings for this one. I went with a 55% front brake balance, suspension springs front plus 7% stiff, rear is -6 soft, damper rebound front is 7% stiff, damper compression rear is -6 soft. Damper rebound front 12% stiff with a -10 soft in the rear. Roll bars front 9% stiff, 4% soft in the rear. Okay. Camber -22 up front, -15 in the rear. Okay. Like I said, this is just one of my personal favorites. It's just fun to drive. All right. Coming in at number 9. All right, the NSX, the 92 model, not the 2017 one. That it just doesn't, it's not as fast. It's just not. But anyway, I've been using this since like first week of the game, and I was using it before I feel like most people really knew it was fast. But this thing, it's just a fast car, and it handles well. It's all around really fun car to drive. So look, pro settings, okay. 50% brake balance improves the braking. It makes the bar full if you look to the right there. All right, I went -9% on the aero load front. Suspension springs plus 4% stiff in the front, -6 soft in the rear. All right, damper compression front is a 1% stiff, damper compression rear is -5 soft, damper rebound front is 2% stiff, damper rebound rear is -9 soft. All right, roll bar 7% stiff up front, -5 soft in the rear. Camber front is -20 with a -25 in the rear. Now I could probably go back and mess with this a little more. I did tune this really early on, and I know it turns in well, but I could probably make it turn in even more. But I like where it is now, but there's definitely room for improvement with this one if you want to tweak it a bit. But it's a solid car. It's really quick. Top end is just there. Go get it if you haven't got it. All right, coming in at the number 8 spot, the Ford GT. This thing, it does lack a little bit top end, but the way this thing corners and the way it hooks and it turns in, it's a good competitor. It posts a good time. It's good. It's a good car. I ported this over from the Crew 2, and I finally tuned it up because a couple people have been saying it's pretty fast. Can confirm. It's a good car. It's a very good Street Tier 2 car. All right, so let's get into the pro settings here. Brake balance, 50% front. All right, that maxes out the braking bar and improves the braking way better than stock. Notice a huge difference. Suspension, all right, springs front, 8% stiff. Rear is -5 soft. Damper compression front is 12% stiff. Rear, -8 soft. Damper rebound front is 16% stiff with a -5 soft in the rear. Roll bars, full, maxed out 10% stiff on the front. Rear is -7 soft. Camber, front, -20. Rear is -12. Now, if you notice, a lot of these cars that go soft on the rear, It's mainly for the rear-wheel drive cars. It makes them not spin out on you in the corners. All right. A lot of my tunes been gaining a lot of traction. People are saying they're better than the other content creators. It's just this is the place to get tunes. All right, I'm telling you. All right, Ford GT, number 7 spot. This has been requested a bit, and I had somebody blast past me like I was sitting still, and I immediately after that race went and bought one. It's one of the best street tier 2 cars, hands down. This thing corners very well. It's damn near perfect out of the box. You really don't have to mess with it, but can't leave it stock, you know. All right, you can't leave it stock. So pro settings for this bad boy. Okay, couldn't really improve the braking much, so 58% front, knock it down a little bit from the 60, just improve it a little bit. Suspension springs front 5% stiff, -2 soft on the rear. Damper compression front is 8% stiff, rear is -4 soft. Damper rebound front is 13% stiff, rear is 3% stiff. Roll bar 6% stiff up front, 1% stiff on the rear. Camber is a -20 up front with a -10 on the rear. Like I said, this thing is quite good. It's might not be quite the fastest. It's fast, but maybe some cars accelerate a little bit faster, but this thing corners so well, it makes up for it. Right, number 6, the Porsche 911 GT, the 993. I was hoping the 911 Turbo 3.6, the old RSR, was going to be faster, but it's just not. So anyway, this thing, I made a video about it. It might not be out by the time this comes out, but I've been seeing it for like a week and a half in grand races. I was like, something's going on. It's always winning. We tuned it up a bit. It's not bad. So look, pro settings. All right, pro settings. Odds are you've seen this thing win some grand races, so it's pretty damn good. 50% front brake balance. All right, see that braking 17.3. If we go back to 60, 19.7. We gain 2.4 yards by going 50%. It makes the braking feel perfect on this car. It brakes very fast. One of the big things in my tunes that a lot of people don't mess with is the brake balance and the power distribution. If it's all-wheel drive, makes a huge difference. Suspension 10% stiff on the front springs, 7% stiff on the rear. Damper compression 13% stiff. All right, front rear 10% stiff. Damper rebound front 19% stiff, rear is 16% stiff. This car I thought would have some issues with traction. It didn't, so we stiffened her up. Roll bars 10% stiff, maxed out front. Rear is only a 3% stiff. Camber -25 up front with a -15 in the rear. Right, this is I remember Blue 90 is a very fast racer, destroyed us. We were, I think, trying out the F12. It was another car, which is like one of the faster cars. Couldn't touch it. Couldn't even get close. They just kept walking. Gone. So anyway, that's that. The number 5 spot. I had this sitting since the Crew 2. A lot of people have been saying it's fast. I was like, I have it. Let me tune it up and see what happens. This thing is a beast. It basically is tied with my, it's just it's like 0.3 tenths of a second behind like my F40 and my Huracan, which is pretty wild. But this thing, it grips a lot more than I thought it would because, I mean, you got a massive LS in the front, rear-wheel drive. This is a wild car. So I tuned it up a bit, got it really stable in the corners. Low speed, it's still going to kick out on you depending on what gear you're in. But for the most part, this thing is an absolute beast. Definitely worthy of top of the street tier 2 class. So look, pro settings. I haven't released a standalone video yet because I just tuned this literally 10 minutes ago, but we're releasing it right here, right now. All right, pro settings. Brake balance, 67% front. Improved it just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Aero, load front, -8. Suspension, all right, springs, front, 8% stiff. Rear is -6 soft. Damper compression, front, 9% stiff. Rear is 8% soft. -8 soft, okay? Damper rebound front, 14% stiff with a 10% stiff in the rear. Roll bars, full 10% stiff up front, -5 soft in the rear. Camber is a -20 up front and a -15 in the rear. This car is one of the best. And now that I have it cornering pretty, it's pretty snappy in the corners and it won't give out. You can full throttle right around a corner, no problems. Stock, you couldn't really do that. So yes. All right, I threw this on the number 4. All right, the F12. It's pretty good. Everybody's known it's been good for a while. It's not my favorite, but I can't deny how well it corners and how quick it is. So look, let's get into pro settings for this bad boy. All right, didn't touch the brake balance, couldn't really improve it that much, so it is what it is. Suspension, spring front is 9% stiff, -4 soft on the rear. Damper compression front 13% stiff, -5 soft on the rear. Damper rebound front is 18% stiff with a 10% stiff on the rear. Roll bars front 9% stiff, rear is 4% stiff. Camber front -25 with a -15 on the rear. All right, let's get into the top 3. You probably guessed it, but the number 3 spot is the Huracan LP610-4. Everybody uses this damn car, man. Like, I love beating it with a non-meta car, but it's quick, it's grippy, we've improved it. I just retuned this since I've gained some knowledge, and I made this thing even better, and it hasn't been released yet, so you're gonna get it right here, right now. Pro settings. Big thing with this is power distribution. Okay, look at the acceleration, 2.3 seconds. Let's take it back to stock, 2.8. We gained half a second, all right, just by bumping that up, so it's gonna help you get off the line quicker. Brake balance, all right, same thing here, 18.9 stock, 18.8. Okay, brake balance doesn't improve on this car, right? But the 50% makes the rear not kick out, because when you would brake, all that, most of it went to the front, the weight, and then the rear would give out. So I took a little 0.1 hit on the yardage here just to make it drive a little better. -5 load front on the aero. Springs front 9% stiff, rear is -5 soft. Damper compression front is 4% stiff, rear is -7 soft. Damper rebound front 6% stiff, rear is 5% stiff. Roll bars 9% stiff up front, -4 soft in the rear. Camber up front is a -25 and a -20 in the rear. This thing is really fast, it's really good. These top 3 cars are literally within a 1/10 of a second of each other with my testing, and they're all good choices. All right, but this next one, the number 2 spot, I was actually surprised with, but let's go find it. Too Fast, Too Furious. Now, this is a Crew 2 exclusive. You can't buy it in the Motorfest, but if you own the Crew 2, you can go buy this. You don't, even though it was like a summer reward, you can buy this car. This is the only like exclusive you can go buy. So you can go buy it and then it'll transfer over. I highly recommend doing it. While this R34 is good, this beat it by 1.8 seconds. It's got more horsepower, and it just, I mean, look at the stats. It's better. But this thing is an absolute monster. It literally was like 0.1 or 0.2 behind my F40. And it tied the Huracan. So this thing's quick, all right? It's fast, and it handles well. So look, pro settings, all right? Power distribution, 45% front, all right? Look at that, 2.8 on the 0 to 60 versus the 3.4, okay? So we always improve that, get you off the line faster. Brake balance, 62% front. Didn't really improve it too much, a little bit. Load front on the aero is -6. Suspension spring front, -7 soft. Okay, rear is +2 stiff. Damper compression front is 7% stiff. Rear is -4 soft. Damper rebound front 11% stiff. Rear is 5% stiff. Okay. Roll bars 9% stiff up front, -5 soft in the rear. Camber is a -25 up front with a -17 in the rear. Like I said, if you have the Crew 2, Go buy this car right now if you don't have it, because it's fast. And our number one car, you probably already know, it's the F40. I know a lot of people think the Huracan's the best. I honestly think this F40 takes it every time. Every time I've tried to hot lap and really go, I always beat the time or get the fastest time in this thing. It's good. I've revised the tune a little bit. I like where it is. So it hasn't been released yet, so you're gonna get it right here, right now. Now, just because I'd labeled all these 1 through 10 doesn't mean that you could take the 10th car and probably beat this first car. This game is, you can be competitive in any car, and it's hard to rank these cars. They all can be very, very close, but this is my number one. Hell yeah. All right, pro settings. Brake balance, 50% front. All right. Suspension, springs, front, 6% stiff. 2% stiff in the rear. Damper compression is a 7% stiff up front with a -4 soft in the rear. Damper rebound front, 11% stiff up front with a +5 stiff in the rear. Roll bars, 9% stiff up front and an 8% stiff in the rear. Camber, -25 up front with a -18 in the rear. Now, like I said, the whole reason I'm not showing these cars driving in this video is because we're already at just about 18 minutes. All right, it's a lot of information to go over with all the pro settings. My pro settings will improve most of these cars by 5 seconds on their time, all right, compared to stock. So keep that in mind. You're gonna want to throw these pro settings on if you buy these cars. You don't want to leave them stock, all right? I'm telling you right now. But regardless, I guess I'll do this for hypercar, racing, street tier 1. I've probably driven the most street tier 2 and hypercars. Racing's getting up there, but these cars you can definitely do really well with. I mean, some of these cars are really good. Like, what else? Like, the R8's not bad. The M4s are actually pretty decent. The ZL1 wasn't bad. S2Ks are fast. The Diablo's fast with my tune. The GTRs, they actually are just the only difference is the weight and the 0 to 60. The Nismo gets out the hole faster, but the R35 is lighter, and they literally were like 0.2 tenths of a second off every time I've tested them. So they're really both the same. You can't really go wrong with any of these. Both of these are fast cars. The new Z is good. The Timeless Edition is good. The A80 Supra is not bad. I mean, there's a ton of cars like I just haven't even tested yet. So we'll get to them. So, you know, probably another month from now, I'll update another top 10 and see what we can find. But you boys know the drill. Subscribe, come back. Got a ton of builds, ton of pro settings, got playlists. Will be down in the description. Check them out. Got a ton of great tunes. And I will see you boys on the next one.